Rochelle Bond is no doubt the star witness for the prosecution in this trial, but she has also been highly criticized for not telling anyone for months about her daughter's murder. Today, she tried to explain why.
It was my child, though. I wasn't well.
Tearful testimony from the mother of 2-year-old Bella Bond, describing the night in early June 2015 when her then-boyfriend Michael McCarthy was supposed to be putting her daughter back to sleep and instead allegedly killed the little girl.
He punched her in the stomach.
Where was she?
Laying in the bed.
Bond said she tried to perform CPR on Bella, but she was already gray and lifeless.
I said, what the did you do? You held her. And he said, no, it was her time to die. She was a demon. So I picked her up to get out of there, and he grabbed me by the throat and he told me he'd kill me.
Bond said she blacked out, and when she came to, McCarthy injected her with heroin in the neck and told her to get in the car.
When I looked in the back, I saw my green duffel bag, and I could see her thigh through it. It was her in there. And I screamed something, I don't even know what it was, and then he hit me.
Bond testified that she believes McCarthy dumped Bella's body into the water in South Boston before driving them back to her Dorchester apartment.
Did you consider making a run for it?
I mean, he was right there next to me. I felt pretty trapped.
And the defense has not yet had a chance to cross-examine Bond, but they have made it very clear that they believe it was Bond who killed her daughter, not McCarthy.
Or to do CPR?
Her head was swollen and gray.
Gut-wrenching testimony. Bella Bond's mother giving gruesome details about her daughter's murder. A murder that Rochelle Bond was a part of. But today, her testimony was about building a case against her ex-boyfriend, who she says hit her daughter so hard she fell off a bed. Bond testified that her boyfriend claimed that the toddler was a demon and needed to die. Louisa Moeller is live outside of Suffolk Superior Court tonight with more. Louisa?
Well, David, prosecutors asked Rochelle Bond if she thought about picking up her daughter's lifeless body and just running. She said he, Michael McCarthy, was right there and she was scared.
I don't know, I just saw her bounce off the bed.
In and out of tears, Bella Bond's mother told the story that ended with her baby's death. starting with her birth.
She was awesome.
Then meeting Michael McCarthy, his move in with her, the time she claims he disciplined the 2-year-old by locking her in the closet. Finally, the day she says she saw McCarthy murder Bella.
He punched her in the stomach.
Where was she?
Laying in the bed. I grabbed her. And she wasn't breathing. So I tried to do CPR.
McCarthy shook his head from side to side as Rochelle testified that he threatened to kill her and injected her neck with heroin.
He said no, it was her time to die. She was a demon.
Bond says what happened next was a haze. McCarthy, she alleges, drove her to Boston Seaport, Bella's body in a bag in the back seat.
I saw my green duffel bag. And I could see her thigh through it. Like, it was her in there. And I screamed something, I don't even know what it was, and then he hit me.
The toddler's body would be discovered on Deer Island, known for months after only as Baby Doe. Now, Rochelle Bond is currently serving time in prison. She pleaded guilty to accessory after murder and to an accepting welfare checks after the baby's death. In exchange for her testimony, she will be released after this trial. Live in Boston, Louisa Moeller,
On the stand in the Bella Bond trial today, a state trooper who responded when the little girl's body was found. The ex-boyfriend of Bella's mother is charged with killing her. Boston 25 News reporter Crystal Haynes live for us outside of Suffolk Superior in Boston. And Crystal, just heartbreaking testimony today from this officer who showed the jury some graphic evidence.
Well, Vanessa, Boston 25 has reported from the very beginning about the exhaustive search for this little girl's identity, known only as Baby Doe, back in the summer of 2015. Now, this detective with the state police unit says that they conducted over 300 well-being checks. They ruled out 150 kids in some 6 countries and many states in the U.S. All of that evidence on display here for the jury, including a graphic photo of the decomposed body of Bella Bond.
Upon opening the bag, I observed what looked to me to be the little hands and little feet of what looked like a 3-year-old little girl.
State Police Detective Daniel Herman was among the police officers on this Deer Island beach when the remains of Bella Bond washed up in polka dot leggings after being discovered by a dog walker. The jury getting an up-close look at the trash bags Bella was double wrapped in, along with baby blankets, and the duffel bag the prosecution says was weighted down with plates similar to those discovered in the Quincy plumbing shop of murder suspect Michael McCarthy's father.
I considered that whoever did this possibly cared for the child.
Detective Herman told the jury Rochelle Bond's interview with him in September of 2015 was emotional and unclear at times.
Distraught. She was a mess.
But on cross-examination, the defense pressed him on the inconsistencies in Bond's testimony and police interviews.
No mention that Mr. McCarthy had a mallet, a hammer, or a knife.
No.
And it was the evidence that wasn't collected during the murder investigation that was the defense's focus today. No physical evidence was ever found in Michael McCarthy's car used allegedly to dump Bella's body. And the cell phone Bond used in the months after Bella's murder was never discovered.
Having that phone might be of great significance in this investigation.
It could be, yes.
And the prosecution is expected to rest their case by the end of the week. Reporting here in Boston, I'm Crystal Haynes, Boston 25 News.
It's an exclusive interview with the brother and sister who provided the tip that solved the Baby Doe case.
As Kieran Anderson reports, the brother talks about how he kicked a vicious, lifelong drug habit so he could testify about what really happened to Bella Bond.
Bella is here with me at all times. She saved my brother.
Laura Sprinsky never knew Bella Bond, but she thinks of her every day.
I have no doubt in my mind, if it wasn't for her, he wouldn't be here today.
Her brother, Mike Sprinsky, was homeless and addicted to heroin when Rochelle Bond told him his childhood friend Michael McCarthy killed her 2-year-old daughter Bella. He immediately reached out to Laura. They shared their text messages from that day.
At 12:33, I reported it.
Mike had never heard of Baby Doe, the little girl whose body had washed up on Deer Island, but Laura had.
And then I said to him, did you see the pictures of the missing girl? Does it look like her? And then I told him, put in the search bar, Baby Doe, Deer Island, found on June 25th. And then he said, that's f***ing her, man. I'm 99% sure. And then he wrote, dead serious. I'm crying. That's how serious, Laura. That's her. I'm freaking out.
As soon as I seen that, everything that was going on, it all hit me at once. I was like, wow. I'm like, these two sick. The animals.
And I was like just calling everybody, you know, someone listen to me, please.
Their tip led police to make the link. Mike was stunned when he learned during the trial that Bella's body had been originally dumped in a trash bag in the water near the Edison plant in South Boston. They brought me to the place right near where the Sprinskys and Michael McCarthy grew up.
This is significant. As a teenager, me, Mike, a lot of other people used to come down here and drink. I spent a lot of childhood and teenage years down here.
When you heard this is where her body was dumped, what went through your mind?
Shock and disgust. The way that was done is unimaginable, and they deserve every bad thing that's coming to them.
Did you recognize anything in the photo?
Yes, I did.
Mike Sprinsky was a key witness for the prosecution at the trial. When the jury went out, he and Laura waited every day for the verdict.
Michael McCarthy is guilty of murder in the second degree.
Finally, when it happened, I just broke down. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, did I hear what I just heard? They said guilty, and then I just hugged my brother. The emotions were so high.
The trial brought the tragic story of Bella's death to a close, but the story continues for Mike. Since he learned of Bella's death, he's been sober. He wanted to make sure he could testify for Bella.
Anytime I ever thought of doing something bad or using, I thought of Bella. All my friends are dead. And the day I found out, that was basically my destiny in life was to be there to speak on her behalf.
He still can't bear to think about how Bella suffered, but every single day she's with him.
Thank God I was able to take something good out of that. And I know one thing, I'll never forget Bella as long as I live.
Thank you. She gave me my brother back. I didn't have my brother for a very long time.
Mike says Bella has not only inspired his sobriety, but he also now wants to find a job working with disadvantaged children or people with addiction. Karen Anderson, 5 Investigate.
One of the most horrific crimes in Massachusetts history. Michael McCarthy is serving a life sentence for killing 2-year-old Bella Bond.
But tonight, as he prepares for an appeal hearing next week, the convicted murderer says he's innocent. And he's telling his story to WBZ Chief Investigator Cheryl Fiandaca.
Did you kill Bella?
Never. I never harmed a hair on her head. She was a beautiful, happy, healthy little girl.
Michael McCarthy is 5 years into a life sentence. He was convicted of killing Bella Bond, his then-girlfriend's daughter.
It wasn't a murder because there was no evidence that it was a murder.
The toddler's body, at the time unidentified, washed up in a trash bag on Winthrop's Deer Island in June of 2015. Officials called her Baby Doe.
Who she is remains a mystery to us.
Hoping to identify her, prosecutors released this composite sketch and said the body had no obvious signs of trauma, and investigators were looking into the possibility of a poisoning.
If there was an accident or worse, if there was mischief that resulted in a criminal act, clear your conscience.
Months later, a tip led police to 2-year-old Bella's mother, Rochelle Bond, and McCarthy. Both admitted substance abusers were charged with her murder. Prosecutors focusing in on McCarthy's interest in the occult.
They were saying that, I essentially believed that Bella Bond was inhabited by demons.
Did you think Bella was a demon?
Of course not. She was a beautiful little girl.
Guilty of murder in the second degree.
They needed to put this on somebody.
With no other witnesses, prosecutors offered Bond a plea deal. In exchange for less than 3 years in prison and probation, she would testify against McCarthy.
He punched her in the stomach.
Where was she?
laying in the bed.
On her front, her side, or her back?
She was on her back. It was her time to die. She was a demon.
But the medical examiner said this about Bond's story of how Bella died.
I don't want to say that it's impossible for it to happen, it's just I think it's unlikely.
As for the cause of death, the ME was unable to come up with a conclusion, saying she could have died from strangulation or a blow that led to a heart attack.
Did you do it?
No.
Bond also told police Bella's body was in the refrigerator and that she and McCarthy later dumped her in Boston Harbor.
The state police swept the refrigerator and they said there was never a body in the refrigerator. And they swept my car and they said there was never a body in his vehicle either.
As for how her body ended up in the water,
did you have anything to do with that?
My attorney doesn't think it would be a good idea to get into anything specific like that.
McCarthy claims Bella may have died accidentally, taking her mother's prescription medication.
The pills are pink, in color, and Bella had a pink fluid in her stomach.
In the end, McCarthy was found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
Bella didn't get justice first off because they never even determined what happened to her, and I definitely didn't kill her. So she didn't receive justice. Rochelle Bond clearly didn't receive justice because she committed perjury and she's out walking around, and I'm in prison for a murder I didn't commit, for a murder that didn't even happen.
The hearing on McCarthy's appeal will be held here next week. We did attempt to reach Rochelle Bond, but did not hear back. We did, though, hear from the Suffolk County DA, who says the conviction should stand and the sentence is appropriate for the harm inflicted on a beautiful, helpless child. Cheryl Fiandaca, WBZ News.